under Hugh Jackson, Baker Mayfield was losing football games as well. And then as soon as Greg Williams was the head coach, it seemed like Baker Mayfield was winning football games. So yes, the players did win those games, but you can't just say Greg Williams didn't have an effect on the players. Number two, is Bob Wiley just bothered, annoyed, bitter that he got fired or not re-upped? Certainly possible. Also, Bob Wiley's probably never going to work in football again. I mean, he's really old. He seems really out of touch. He seems like a guy that does not fit modern football. And he might know, hey, let me just throw a bunch of stuff against the wall. Let me throw a few haymakers. I'll make some headlines. You know what? Maybe I can do this analyst thing. That's certainly possible as well. He just becomes a hot take brigade. But I don't think you can deny the essence of what Wiley is saying as very logical. That Greg Williams might have been the best candidate for the job, but John Dorsey didn't want to butt heads with his head coach. And, you know, there's actually a larger benefit here that does make sense from a Brown standpoint. The Browns have always been the epitome of dysfunction. They have always had differing opinions and restarts and bad leadership. And so maybe the biggest benefit here is just John Dorsey understanding, hey, we need everybody pulling in the same direction. No questions about what we're doing. No anonymous source leaking, which the Browns again said. Freddie Kitchens said if we have any of those, they're getting fired. Maybe John Dorsey just said, Greg is too headstrong. Greg Williams has been around a long time, so he's got a very stubborn sense of what works and what doesn't. And I'm headstrong. He's headstrong. We've both been around this game a long time. We're going to clash. It's not going to be good for this organization. We need smooth waters, even if I've got to hire a guy that might be a little bit less qualified for the job. And there is a benefit there. But when Bob Wiley says that essentially Williams didn't get the job because John Dorsey didn't want a guy to challenge him, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. And if Kitchens doesn't work early in this, Baker Mayfield might love him. But you're going to tell me that Odell, Jarvis Landry, other Browns players that have heard since last year, they're the new sexy, trendy team. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to compete for the division. They're the best team of the AFC North. The Steelers are down. The Bengals are down. The Ravens are down. They're going to finally seize that in a city that is so delirious about football. They're going to all be fine as a locker room, looking at a guy that's very unproven at that position, knowing that last year they had a guy proven to that position and that they won with, and that there's at least some internal thought that, yeah, the new guy was hired because he's a bit of a puppet. He's not going to talk back. He's going to do whatever the GM wants because this is his first gig. That has to be a looming disaster if it goes down that road. That has to be a potential pitfall of this. I'm telling you, it's amazing. It's like the Browns can't go 24 hours without something really interesting or potentially diabolical or divisive happening. It's amazing.